MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com, RockAuto.com, and State Farm.
Now, whether our favorite cars are from Detroit or the ones from Europe, those of us who really like cars do have a wish list, a list of marques we'd like to own but just can't afford. With new technology, marketplace competition, and the prices that brings, those cars seem to be more out of reach than ever. Even this Porsche 944 costs more than most sports car fans can pay. But the folks at Porsche have done something to get their name off our wish list and back into our driveways. They've reintroduced their 924 model, only now it's called the 924S. And we've discovered that the new 924S has a purpose beyond being the price-leading poor man's Porsche. First, let's do a little catching up. The 924 first bowed 11 years ago. It had been designed by Porsche for Volkswagen, using a lot of VW Audi parts. Porsche, of course, ended up selling the car as a Porsche, their first front-engined car. But to put it kindly, it never lived up to the Porsche reputation. So the 924 was ditched in 1982 in favor of the 944. It sold for a little over $18,000 in those good old days. Now the current version will set you back a cool $25,500. On the other hand, this new 924S comes in for $3,600 less at $21,900. That's even with a recent $2,000 price increase. And it's every bit as much a Porsche as the 944. But it's a Porsche with a personality all its own. The S still has the original 924 styling, without a bulge or flare added to spoil its continuous curves. It rides on a slightly narrower track than the 944 with skinnier wheels and tires that have taller sidewalls for a smoother ride. Power comes from the 944's 2.5-liter four-cylinder, an engine designed and built by Porsche, from its overhead cam down to its counter-rotating balance shafts. It's fuel-injected with 147 horsepower and 140 pound-feet of torque, and it comes mated to a 5-speed manual transaxle mounted at the rear. A 3-speed automatic is available if you insist. The 924S is actually faster than its big brother, since it weighs a bit less and has smoother bodywork. Of course, it's only by a few tenths of a second here and there. For the record, we covered the quarter mile in 16 seconds flat, with a finish line speed of 86. Maximum pulling power comes in at 3,000 RPM on the tack, but this engine feels strong from idle up, strong enough for it to zip from 0 to 60 in only 8 seconds. The 924S does, however, take a back seat to the 944 in handling. The car's suspensions are nearly identical, and the overall response is about the same. When you turn in, there's mild scrub from the front tires, followed at higher speed by a bit of lightness from the rear end, more so if you lift off the throttle. But the 924S has lower overall cornering power. Let's hope you don't find out the hard way that it reaches its limit at a lower speed. The reason, mostly the narrower tires. Funny thing is, when we took it through the slalom, it seemed faster than the 944, or even the 944 Turbo. That's because the driver's view over the 924's slimmer fenders is less imposing, and the steering has a lighter feel, again because of the tires. The 924S shares its four-wheel disc brakes with the 944 too. The pedal has a solid feel and is easy to control when the brakes are close to locking. Our car averaged a stopping distance of 110 feet in 6 tries. That's not only nicely reassuring, it's again slightly better than the last 944 we tested. So far, it seems like the S is a 924 that snuck onto the 944 assembly line, until you start looking around the cockpit instead of looking at the road. The 924S got the dash and steering column from the old 924. That means an out-of-date ventilation system for openers, and the steering wheel is nearly vertical and uncomfortable for some drivers. Controls are easy to reach, though, and the gauges are easy to read, even if they're still not all directly in front of the driver. But maybe Porsche's trying to apologize for the old dash. They've included plenty of standard equipment, such as air conditioning, a 4-speaker radio prep package, power windows, and power side view mirrors. But for some reason, this armrest cassette holder is an extra cost option. and some drivers won't find enough support in the upper seat backs to hold them in for spirited cornering. But we won't pick on the tiny folding rear seat. After all, this is a sports car. And as sports cars go, this one has lots of cargo area, plus the convenience of a window shade luggage cover. If economy still matters when you're driving a Porsche, you might like knowing that the 924S is EPA rated at 21 city, 27 highway. Day to day, we managed a most respectable 25. And that's the least of our list of hits. We also like the power, ride, agility, and high level of standard equipment. We weren't fond of the awkward steering wheel position, marginal ventilation system, and seats that lack lateral support. It's clear Porsche cut a few corners to create this price leader, but this is also a practical Porsche, the perfect Porsche for everyday city driving. But there is much more going on with four-cylinder Porsches than the 924S. For instance, for Autobahn commuting, why not try the new 944S? It's the long-awaited 16-valve version of the 944. 188 horsepower gives it enough excitement potential to rival even the 944 Turbo, but it's still priced below the Turbo at $28,250. Both the 944S and the 944 will have anti-skid brakes and airbag crash protection as optional equipment for 1987. The airbags will be standard on the Turbo, and Porsche will be the first to put them on the passenger side. But what about Porsche 924, or for that matter 944 practicality? Well, we should point out that you can get cars with much of their capabilities for thousands less. But then you've got to ask yourself, are substitutes high on your wish list? Well, we're not practical enough ourselves to answer that question.